Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining the first annual New Jersey Youth Transition Conference. My name is Erica Rowe, and I'm from the Partnership for Children of Essex. I'm joined with my co-host, Angie Petrillo, also from the Partnership for Children of Essex. Just a few housekeeping tips before we get started. Our webinar will be presented by Miss Kathryn Katie Colhoun from the Ocean County Partnership for Children. And it is entitled Supports with the Children's System of Care. So this is an overview of the care management organization, mobile response and stabilization services, as well as the family support organization. Again, just some quick housekeeping before we get started. In this format, all participants will be muted by default. So if you would like to communicate with myself or one of the panelists, then you will need to use the Q&A feature located at the bottom of the screen, and questions will be answered at the conclusion of the presentation. A recording of these presentations will be available within the next few days on our website, www.njyouthtransition.life. This session is also being closed captioned. So in order to activate the closed caption feature, please click on the live transcript button at the bottom of your screen window and click show subtitle. If you need technology support at any point during the conference, you can access our live tech support Zoom room sponsored by Richard West from ASAC. The Zoom room link is available on the website as well on the conference agenda page. But we ask that you please be patient, as there may be other people seeking help at the same time. But one of the quick fixes may be, if you're experiencing any issues, would be to sign out of this webinar and then sign back in. Also, please note that we have a hard stop 5 minutes prior to the top of the next hour so that we're able to host the next presentation room. I'm checking to see if Katie is with us, and I will turn things over to Miss Kathryn Katie Colhoun. You have the floor. You're ready.
Sorry, we're just having a little bit of technical difficulties on the other end with another webinar, so bear with me.
No problem.
Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here. Let me share my presentation. Uh-oh. Hold on a second. I'm sorry. We were just having some issues today. Okay, it says I'm screen sharing. Does that seem right?
Yep, we can see your screen.
Can you see the PowerPoint?
We could, but it's in like edit mode.
Okay.
It's not.
Yep. Okay. Good?
Perfect.
Perfect. All right. Thank you. All right. So again, I'm Katie Colhoun from Ocean Partnership for Children, Ocean County's care management organization. I am the Director of Community Resources and Advocacy there. So we're just going to go over briefly New Jersey Department of Children and Families. They have many divisions, one of which DCPP, Division of Child Protection and Permanency, formerly known as DIFAS, or Division of Youth and Family Services, Division of Family Partnerships, Family and Community Partnerships, and then the Division of the Children's System of Care. Those are, you know, there are other divisions, but just for the purpose of this presentation, I'm gonna leave it at that. Under Children's System of Care, sometimes known as CSOC, there is Perform Care, who is the contracted system administrator, and they oversee authorizations and approvals of services for mobile response, care management organizations, and the family support organization. Care management organizations, CMOs, as we tend to call them, that's who I work for, Ocean Partnership for Children, Ocean County's care management organization. Each county has a CMO, as well as a mobile response and a family support organization. Some counties have, some CMOs at mobile response and FSOs cover multiple counties. So there's 15 altogether, visages, as we call them. Again, Department of Children and Families. So this is how it breaks down. Children's system of care. The administrator is perform care. And like I said, they dispatch mobile response and or connect the youth and family to their local CMO office if clinically appropriate. Family support organizations are accessible to the public. You can just call. It's just when they provide their support specialist services that the family has to be involved with CMO. Again, here's just another, picture how it all breaks down. And then the main objective right now of children's system of care is to help youth succeed, to be safe, healthy, and connected. Also within the children's system of care, not only is there the care management, family and peer support through family support organization, there is also substance use treatment, intellectual and developmental disability services, mobile response like we talked about, and community services. The mobile response and care management organizations and family support, we have agreements with local community services to link the families to these services, as well as we have partnerships with schools, the legal system, you name it, whoever's involved with the child, we try to be, connected with. So when would you call perform care? It's 24/7, 7 days a week, 365 days a year that's available. It's a 1-877-652-7624. It is a toll-free number. In cases where you're struggling to meet the needs of your child that might have developmental disabilities or intellectual disabilities, or if there's substance use, mental health, co-occurring issues going on, you can definitely call. If the child's refusing to attend school, repeated lateness, skipping school, there's school performance issues, you should definitely call. Especially we're seeing a lot of that now with the return to school in person. We're seeing a lot of kids struggling in that area. If your child's physical or verbally aggressive, bullies others, is being bullied, if there's family conflict, like I said, substance use needs, even, just experimenting, definitely call. Just not following the rules, consistently struggling, at home and maybe multiple areas of their life. How to access, like I said, you call the number. The parent or guardian does have to call directly. Schools can call, and they have, but at the end of the day, perform care is going to need to speak to the parent or legal guardian of the youth to determine if you might be eligible for care management services, mobile response, or they may refer to outpatient services if they don't feel there's a high enough clinical need. And this is for any youth up to the age of 21. Like I said, they're available round the clock, and they do, when you initially call, they triage that call to determine next steps. When you call, there is prompts, if you want, care management or mobile response, so you can follow that as well. Just to break it down a little bit further, mobile response if you call and there is a crisis going on, or if the youth is, if everyone's safe, but the youth and if no one's in danger, or there's nothing going on that would warrant police call, that could be a mobile response call, that there's crisis going on. They are dispatched and come out within an hour. Really, they're there to help de-escalate through crisis assessment and intervention. They do treatment planning and family safety planning. They provide care management, and they provide links to community resources. That can be treatment, that can be basic needs, food, support groups, kind of whatever the need is, the presenting need for the youth and the family, not just the youth, even though, the call is in regards to a youth. It does have to be related to youth needs, but obviously it affects the entire family. They do refer to follow-up services, and they do keep in touch with the family. Their services are in for about 8 weeks. Oftentimes, mobile response, if there's an ongoing need, can refer to care management organizations or the CMOs. Like I said, there's one for every county. All of these services are voluntary and at no cost to the family. We provide care management services for youth and families with complex needs. And when I say care management, that means we help families link to services that they need, as services and community resources. And it's pretty involved. We do meet with the family and we talk to them weekly. We meet with them every like twice a month. And then we do have meetings every 2 to 3 months with the family, the youth, the child family team, as we call it. So that could be school personnel involved. If there's legal involvement, that, it could be, we assist with juvenile court matters. We do, maybe probation would be involved. So it's kind of like whoever the family identifies. If DCPP is involved, we do and try to include them. But at the end of the day, it's up to the family who they want on their child family team. And it's, again, to access, you would call perform care. And family support organizations, they're family run and county based. So all the family support workers have had children that have been through the children's system of care. And, they offer that lived experience and expertise. They also, like I said, they do provide direct family to family peer support for youth and families that are involved with CMO. They also provide education, advocacy, and other services such as support groups, workshops, IEP workshops, Nurtured Heart. They have a whole bunch of stuff going on. You can find out what they're offering on their websites and Facebook pages. And again, once again, all of these services, FSO, mobile response, CMO, are all voluntary and at no cost to the family. Family Success Centers, each county has multiple. In Ocean County, where I work, there are 3. They are free one-stop shops that provide wraparound resources and supports for families to avoid crisis. The ones by us offer things such as sometimes they provide food, they help with interview, resume writing, they have computers there, they offer some information and referral. So it's a nice place to go if there's maybe, some basic needs you're struggling with, whether it's the youth or the family, and they can kind of help guide you, to services in the community that might benefit you and your family. So really their goal is to provide primary child abuse prevention services, to avoid, DCPP involvement, to maybe avoid the higher level of care management. If that's where you think the path that the youth is maybe taking. And again, there is a link on DCF's website to find out more about your family success centers, where they're located, how to contact them. And all of them have websites too, so you can check out maybe what they're offering. Generally, they tend to give out monthly calendars of all kinds of stuff that they have going on, mommy and me groups. It's pretty cool. We talked about mobile response a bit, so I'm not going to get into it too long, but like I said, they do the assessments for crisis intervention anywhere in the community, at your home, at school, at a doctor's office, a police station, whatever makes sense, wherever the family and youth are comfortable. They also, like I said, 72-hour stabilization services or 8 weeks. It depends on the need. Everything's determined by need. It's not, set in stone. And like I said earlier, if there continues to be significant needs and the youth is IDD, especially because that is ongoing needs, they may just recommend CMO services immediately or stay in for 8 weeks to help with stabilization and then refer to CMO. And again, Perform Care makes all determinations regarding CMO services. So even if Mobile Response recommends that, at the end of the day, it is, final determination is made by Perform Care. Care management organizations, or CMOs. We are all nonprofits, so we tend to have another name. For instance, Ocean County CMO is Ocean Partnership for Children. So it can be a little confusing, but that is the case for all of us, all of our CMOs. Our services are really for those youth with a higher level of care, higher level needs, complex needs. So like I said, maybe struggling in multiple areas. If outpatient mental health counseling is going to address the need, that doesn't tend to be a youth that we'll work with, because, we are here to help with the more complex and higher level needs. Our aim, like I said earlier, is to link the youth and families to community-based sustainable resources so families can, be on their own eventually. We don't want to be involved forever. We want to be involved to help the family navigate the resources in the community and learn to do so on their own and know where to go if they have needs, because, things ebb and flow. It's not limited. There is no time constraint, again, it's all based on needs. So if there are ongoing needs that aren't being addressed, I mean, our average time for youth is 9 to 12 months for youth with IDD. It's a bit longer because those are ongoing needs. So again, it's all need-based. Even though I say 9 to 12 months, if the youth needs more time, that's what we do. And it's all based on, we do assess ongoing strength and needs assessments to determine these things. And child family team meetings are held regularly, like I had said, that helps everybody on the child family team, youth and family, it obviously included, develop a plan. We call it a service plan. So what services or community resources we're linking the families to. Again, the family and the youth, really, it's their voice and choice. They drive the child family team. And we always say it's not the youth or family if things don't work out, it's the plan that's not working. It's not the youth and family or anyone on the team. And we just have to, relook at, what that plan is and maybe come up with something that's going to be a bit more effective. I did talk about we are in regular contact to coordinate and track the progress of the plan, and the youth can be enrolled up to their 21st birthday. And obviously we're not just, up to the 21st birthday, we do definitely ensure that there is some kind of ongoing sustainable plan. So it's just not a hard stop and we're done. We want to make sure that the youth is connected to whatever they need so they can be successful. Family support organizations, we talked about that. On Perform Care's website, there is a list of them if you're interested. Again, we talked about one-to-one family support for families active with CMO. And again, it is a choice. Families do not have to work with the family support specialist or the family support organization. It's up to the family. And like I said, there's also other services for non-CMO. So anyone in the community can attend. There are support groups like for the parents, for grandparents, for the youth. There are the teen groups, we call them youth support groups or youth partnerships. They can help access services. They're great advocates, especially for in schools, at IEP meetings. They know their stuff. They do all kinds of workshops. And again, like I said, you can just call and ask some questions and they'll help guide you down the right road. Okay, so I'm gonna have to switch over to a different presentation. So I'm gonna stop sharing and then move over to this presentation. Hold on, sorry about this. Okay, so definition of developmental disability, I'm sure most of you are aware, but as far as Department of Children and Families Children's System of Care, it's a severe chronic disability attributed to a mental or physical impairment or a combination of both. It manifests before age 22. It's likely to continue indefinitely. Results in substantial functional limitations in 3 or more areas of major life activity, reflects the need for care, treatment, or other services which are of lifelong or extended duration. It is not limited to intellectual disability, developmental disability includes, but is not limited to intellectual disability, autism, cerebral palsy, epilepsy, spina bifida, and other neurological impairments. Applying for DDD or DD eligibility for individuals under 18, eligibility is determined by Children's System of Care, specifically Perform Care. So you can go to Perform Care's website to get an application for DD eligibility. There's also a lot of information on that website regarding, services available, everything that we're going over today and more. We do, the Children's System of Care does provide the services up to age 21 for the youth. Despite when they're 18 or older, they do need to apply, if they are not already DD eligible as determined under by CSOC or Perform Care, under their 18th birthday, then they do have to go to DDD to apply for eligibility, DD eligibility. And again, you can go to the Human Services DDD website and apply there and get more information. DDD is responsible then for providing services after age 21. Requirements for DD eligibility are age, diagnosis, functional limitations, citizenship, and residency in New Jersey. Applications accepted age 0 until the day before a child's 18th birthday. This is in Children's System of Care, and on the 18th birthday and thereafter, all the applications go to DDD. Youth between the ages of 18 and 21 may be found eligible for DDD services, eligibility, but will, like I said, receive services through the Children's System of Care until their 21st birthday. A child must be diagnosed with a developmental disability in order to be considered for eligibility. That doesn't mean they automatically get eligibility. The comment we talked about common developmental disabilities, but there are other behavioral related conditions that could be considered. ADHD and other behavioral related conditions, mental health needs, substance use are not developmental disabilities. A diagnosis must be made by a licensed clinician through some evaluation process. Diagnosis from a school representative is not acceptable, nor is a prescription pad diagnosis from a pediatrician. In order to be able and eligible for services through CSOC or Children's System of Care, a child must have substantial functional limitations in 3 of 7 areas. The diagnosis of a developmental disability is not enough to warrant eligibility. So in the 7 areas are receptive and expressive language function, self-care, learning, self-direction, capacity for independent living, economic self-sufficiency, and mobility. Measures of functional ability include standardized measures of adaptive functions, such as the Vineland Adaptive Behavior Scales or the Applied Behavior Assessment System. Citizenship and residency, like we mentioned, is required for U.S. citizenship for DD eligibility. The child and or the parent must be a U.S. citizen or permanent resident with a U.S. birth certificate, U.S. passport, certificate of naturalization, certificate of citizenship, or permanent resident card, aka a green card. And the child and parent must be a resident and or parent must be a resident of New Jersey to get DD eligibility in New Jersey. Steps to eligibility, you have to complete the DD eligibility application, which is can be found on Perform Care's website. It's an online application where you can upload all the documentation or the that's needed to support the application. You can also do this on paper and send it via mail. I would always recommend the online if there's access. And that's something maybe, you could go to your Family Success Center or talk to the FSO if you don't have access, if they could support you to do it online. It just, that way you have it, record. You can keep track of it a little bit easier than mailing it in. If you were to mail it in, always keep copies of everything for yourself. Never just send everything out. And the paper application, you can call up Perform Care. They can send it to you. You can download it from the website as well. There's also on there, on the website, a list of the documents needed. So I think the #1 reason why applications tend to not be approved is because there's missing documentation or supportive documentation. So make sure that everything's covered, before you apply and submit. Perform Care then will review the application for completeness. Like I said, families will be advised if additional information is needed. And again, incomplete applications do usually take longer. And again, like I said, that's a good reason why, that's probably #1 reason why it takes so long for them to be approved. Options following a not eligible determination. This does happen. Some kids are kind of just on the cusp, so this does happen. You can file an appeal of the determination either with or without additional supporting documentation, and you can always reapply if circumstances change, which they do. As the children grow up, sometimes things get more intense, their needs become higher. So even if you're denied one time, doesn't mean you cannot apply again. Okay, so here's a video regarding the DD eligibility process.
The New Jersey Children's
Just want to
System
make
of
sure,
Care,
can we
or
hear that?
CSOC, offers services for eligible youth that are impacted by intellectual and developmental disabilities, such as Down syndrome, autism, cerebral palsy, seizure disorders, with CSOC to assist families who are requesting these services to access services for children with intellectual and developmental disabilities through CSOC. This application is
Okay, I guess here I'm seeing that we can't hear the video. Hold on one second. I have to share the sound. Let me start that over. My apologies. I wasn't sure. I can't see any of the comments right now or the Q&A. So my apologies. We'll start that over.
The New Jersey Children's System of Care, or CSOC, offers services for eligible youth that are impacted by intellectual and developmental disabilities, such as Down syndrome, autism, cerebral palsy, spina bifida, and seizure disorders like epilepsy. Perform Care works with CSOC to assist families who are requesting these services. To access services for children with intellectual or developmental disabilities through CSOC, families must first complete an eligibility application. In order to qualify, the child must be under the age of 18 and living with a caregiver. If your child also has mental health needs or is in crisis, this application is not required to immediately access behavioral health services through CSOC. This application is for families that wish to access CSOC services only available to children with intellectual or developmental disabilities, or IDD. Perform Care is available to help you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at 1-877-652-7624. Step 1. Getting ready. Before applying, parents should review the Perform Care website to see what IDD services are available. A listing can be found at www.performcarenj.org/IDD services. If the service you need is not provided through CSOC, families and caregivers can look for services from other sources, such as insurance and your child's school district. You should also review frequently asked questions for families of children with developmental disabilities, the Getting Ready checklist, and the timeframes for clinical assessments available on the Perform Care website. The New Jersey Children's System of Care, or CSOC, offers services for eligible youth that are impacted by intellectual and developmental disabilities, such as Down syndrome, autism, cerebral palsy, spina bifida, and seizure disorders like epilepsy. Perform Care works with CSOC to assist families who are requesting these services. To access services for children with intellectual or developmental disabilities through CSOC, families must first complete an eligibility application. In order to qualify, the child must be under the age of 18 and living with a caregiver. If your child also has mental health needs or is in crisis, this application is not required to immediately access behavioral health services through CSOC. After you apply. Once your application has been received, we will make sure that all required forms and documents are included. If your child's application is missing information, this will delay the review process. Perform Care will send you a letter if additional information is needed to make a decision. The letter will also explain the next steps in the application process. A clinical review and decision will be made after we receive all the required documents and confirm that the application is complete. Perform Care is available to help you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and 365 days a year at 1-877-652-7624. It's free to call Perform Care. Specially trained Perform Care associates are available to help with the application process. For more information, visit PerformCare's website at www.performcarenj.org. We look forward to helping your family access the services your child needs to be well and succeed.
Okay. Sorry about the video. It did restart, and I tried to put it, I forwarded it, but I'm not sure if we missed anything. But if you're interested in viewing the video, it is on the Perform Care website, this exact one. Okay, service array for DD eligible youth. This is through CSOC. Like we said, DD eligible youth may be eligible for care management organization or CMO services. There is that higher level need required to access CMO services. So some DD eligible kids aren't high level need and don't require CMO services. Same thing with mobile response. They are eligible for mobile response. So if there's any kind of crisis, you can certainly call to access mobile response stabilization services. And family support organization, same thing. They have all the support groups and information and referral. They call it a warm line. So you can always call them too for additional support, guidance, and attend their support groups, anything, and workshops. Functional services, family support services, and intensive in-home services are available for DD eligible youth involved with CMO services. Intensive, so the IDD specific in-home services, we call them intensive in-home or IIH. There are two types. There are clinical, which is licensed level therapists who have experience with the IDD population. It's very similar, they say, to an IIC. So an IIC is an intensive in-community therapist. So they go to your home. It's very similar, but they're specifically designed to work with the IDD youth population and family. So they are skilled in the area. They are familiar with IDD needs. They tend to work with the families quite often to help with the, psychoeducation around diagnosis, stress reduction, minimal behavior management, just support. They can also work with youth with IDD needs if that is something clinically indicated. There's also the IIH behavioral, which is ABA services, applied behavioral analysis, which is common for kids with autism and other IDD needs. What they do, they complete a functional behavioral assessment called an FBA. And then depending on the outcomes of the assessment, they come up with a behavior plan, a behavior support plan, where a BCBA, who is a board certified behavior analyst, and a behavior tech work with the youth and family to address the need. So the ABA is a set of habilitative services designed for decreasing dangerous behaviors while assisting youth in acquiring and retaining self-help, communication, and adaptive skills. A focus is put on transfer of skills to the youth while working with and training the youth's parent or caregiver to implement the behavior plan. So the work of these services are not just for the youth. The families are expected to participate, the parents, to learn the skills, to apply them themselves when the services are no longer in the home. Now, these services can and do last for a long time. Often they help maintain behavior. So it's not always like I guess you could say rehabilitative. It tends to be an ongoing service, but there are times that, maybe the youth does reach their goals and there's the team feels there's no longer a need for these services anymore. But, this is not just for the youth, it is for the entire family. There's also individual support services, which are ISS, we call them. It's skill development for activities of daily living, including self-care tasks, and those skill development, it all depends on the youth's developmental need, developmental level. So, maybe an older youth might need some assistance with, financial, transportation, or an older youth that has a lower developmental age may just need help with basic living, daily living skills like self-care, cleaning a room or something like that. So it all depends on the youth's needs. And, again, these services, CMO services, are really for those higher level needs, complex needs kids with that are DD eligible. And like I said, not all DD eligible kids would require these kind of services. In addition, so those services are accessible to youth involved with CMO that do not have Medicaid, straight Medicaid, their own Medicaid. They may have private insurance, or they may, so they can access those IIH services, ABA. The IIH clinical and the ISS are accessible to anyone that's DD eligible and enrolled with CMO. But as of April 1st, 2020, New Jersey's Family Care or Medicaid, the New Jersey's publicly funded health insurance, including CHIP and Medicaid, covers ABA services for children birth to 21 years with autism spectrum disorder. You can visit the Autism New Jersey's website for more information on NJ Family Care Medicaid coverage of ABA services. But basically, if you have Medicaid, there are 5 different managed care organizations that manage the Medicaid. So when you have your Medicaid card, it will tell you on the back who your MCO or managed care organization is, and you would contact them to find out about the ABA services to access them. There is a wait for a lot of these services. So it's, there's a very high demand and not a lot of providers at this point, but we continually work to, bolster the workforce. So, if you are waiting, make sure you get on a wait list. Definitely keep following up with Medicaid to find out, where and how much longer. You should be able to your child should be able to access services in a reasonable amount of time. And you can tell the MCOs that, you've been waiting this long and you really need the services. And other times, you might be able to get in pretty quickly. So it just depends. Family support services. So they're designed to strengthen and promote families that provide care at home for a child or young adult with an IDD need. So eligibility for family support services. So a child must be DD eligible, deemed DD eligible through CSOC, Children's System of Care, and must live in the community either with a family member or resource family. How to apply? Simply call Perform Care's number, and there will be a prompt to apply for family support services. And it's about a 20-minute interview over the phone to complete the application. It's fairly quick. Perform Care evaluates for the family support services based on individual need, caregiver need, current services utilized, available, and the availability of resources. Some of the family support services are educational advocacy, so support in schools at those IEP meetings, camp, funding for camp, so it's up to $800 a year. Most youth that apply, DD eligible youth, will get the funding. They will have to attend a Children's System of Care approved camp. So there is a list on Perform Care's website with all this information. There's also one-to-one aids for the camp. So if you have a youth with very, very high needs and needs that a one-to-one, the camp, or you can apply for the one-to-one aid. And generally they're always approved as well. Assistive technology, there is limited funding in this area. There are assistive devices, could be travel chairs, walkers, positioning systems, vehicle modifications, motorized lifts and ramps, or environmental modifications for the home, like widening of doorways, ramps, and or grab bars for that can be installed for the youth. There's also respite care through family support services. There's a few different options: agency hired, self-hired, agency after school care, agency weekend recreation, and overnight respite. The after school care is generally, I think, 3 to 5. It depends. So again, these all you can find out who these providers are through the Perform Care website, but you can only have one type. You can't mix and match. So you have to pick whatever one best suits your needs. We won't get into that. So intensive in-home services, we talked about this, is the ABA clinical and therapeutic services, individual supports. We just went over all that. Let's see, short-term treatment, crisis stabilization and assessment program. So so they're there to engage and stabilize youth. They provide comprehensive diagnostic assessments that identify appropriate treatment settings in home or out of home, any needed services, supports that meet the youth's habilitation and behavioral health needs upon discharge, They do skill building assistance with activities of daily living and engagement with families, the families are included. And when clinically appropriate, IIH will be initiated in the program, and the IIH therapist will continue to provide services to the youth and family in their home upon discharge. So again, these are short-term out-of-home crisis stabilization programs. Again, there aren't many. The demand is super high and there's just not a lot. So the waits for these types of programs can be long, but they can also be quick. If a kid's very, very high needs, we figure out how to get them enrolled as soon as possible. There are specific out-of-home treatment programs available for youth with IDD needs. Again, these are last resorts. If we prefer to, the whole children's system of care, we want the kids to stay home and in their community. So we will do whatever we can to try to wrap the kids with services and the families to maintain that placement. In the events that a youth is very high needs and they need to go out of home to meet those needs, if the families are struggling to meet the need, there's safety concerns, the out-of-home could be an option. But these out-of-home programs are specific to the developmental disability needs. This recommendation is made by the youth child family team. So like I said, we are always going to try to exhaust all community resources before going this route. And similar to all the other services for IDD youth, the demand is extremely high and the waits can be long for these programs. So when a youth is going to become, is transitioning, approaching 21 years old, we do assist, CMOs do definitely assist if they're involved with us, but there's the transition to the adult services, which is through DDD or Division of Developmental Disabilities. DDD performs the eligibility determination like we talked about for young adults over 21. Families are strongly encouraged to ensure that the DDD eligibility process is completed prior to the young adult's 20th birthday. You don't want to wait, to do this. The earlier you start planning for transition, the better. The youth is required to have the appropriate type of Medicaid to qualify for DDD services, and you can go to their website to learn more about that. As has been discussed, CSOC and DDD do collaborate via roundtable conferencing and data sharing. So if the youth is involved with children's system of care, the transition, like I said, the CMOs will assist with the transition to the adult services and ensure that everybody's linked to what they need. Each county or CMO, I should say, runs a resource net, which is an online directory of resources in the community, programs, support services, events, trainings for the community and professionals. So feel free to check them out. In Ocean County, it's Ocean Resource Net. It's, they go by the name of the county, Essex Resource Net, Monmouth Resource Net. Also, when you go to the homepage of those resource nets, if you scroll to the bottom, there's a link to every resource net as well. The information can be translated to different languages. It can be shared through social media. And each, like I said, CMO manages those resource nets. So if you ever have questions or, if there's issues or things need to be updated, feel free to reach out to the CMO. There's also on the websites an email that you can use to inform the CMO of any changes needed. Or, if you want to add stuff, people from the community can add resources, events. So that's an option as well. But if you ever have any questions, just email, the CMO and we can support you on that. So again, for more information, you can go to Children's System of Care, their website. If you just Google that, it comes up. And then Perform Care. Perform Care's website is excellent. It has all of this information and more, and videos, everything you could want. It's really nice. So. All right, questions. Let me see what the Q&A has. The sound was an issue. Okay, that was it. So I don't know if anyone has any additional questions at this time. You would put them in the Q&A if so. Okay, well, seeing none, I really appreciate everyone being here today on this beautiful Saturday and listening in. And thank you.
All right, just no more questions, just to confirm, nothing. All right, so Erica's currently frozen, so I'm gonna close it out for you, Katie. So I hope everyone enjoyed this presentation. Thank you again for participating, and a big thank you to Katie for presenting, our speaker. Please be sure to check out the rest of the NJ Youth Transition Conference. Additional workshops and information can be found on www.njyouthtransition.life. Additional resource information and our virtual resource guide can be found in our vendor village, also located on our website. Thank you guys, and enjoy the rest of your Saturday and the other webinars.